John, I need 30 copies of this. Since you're so incompetent, at least handle the photocopying.
Yes? With those harsh words and the documents handed to me, I slowly headed towards the printing room.
Damn it, why did the company hire someone like him? When I think about how his salary comes from our hard-earned profits for the company, it really ticked me off.
Another employee's complaint rang out loud, enough to reach my ears as I took my leave. I pretended to not hear, entered the printing room and stood in front of the copy machine. I entered the major company through a mid-career recruitment. Most of the employees were fresh graduates from top-notch universities, so they probably expected that anyone from a mid-career recruitment would be exceptional.
John, what university did you graduate from?
When I answered that I only finished high school, the atmosphere instantly stiffened. I could feel the temperature of their gazes dropping. I could feel their contempt mixed with the question of why HS graduate was a mid-career recruit at such a major corporation. But their treatment of me wasn't just because of my educational background. On the first day, when I was supposed to launch a system that was hastily explained to me, how was I supposed to launch it again? When I asked the employee sitting next to me, they gave me a clearly annoyed look.
I explained it before. There's a manual. Read it and learn on your own.
A manual was tossed at me, and I apologized, saying I'm sorry, and accepted it. When I was asked by a colleague to create a record for a meeting,
John, have you finished the documents I asked for?
I'm sorry. I was told it was okay to submit them by tomorrow, so I had been prioritizing other work because I thought there was still time.
TCH, this is why HS grads are.
The colleague who clicked his tongue never assigned me any work again. After repeating such things, I was called an incompetent employee. Yes, I understood it was my fault too. I worked quietly, trying not to bother the other employees. Therefore, while I'm occasionally asked to do trivial tasks or photocopying that anyone can do, I'm never given any important work, my existence in the company being akin to thin air. April came, but nothing changed for me. No transfer, and of course, no promotion. I remained an incompetent employee. But a female employee transferred from the headquarters to our department and is going to become my direct superior.
My name is Anderson. Starting today, I'll be taking the position of head of accounting at this branch office. I'm aware there may be some differences in practices between our headquarters and this branch, but I'm eager to quickly acclimate to the environment and the work here. I'm counting on your support.
Ms. Anderson, with her black hair neatly tied back, an impeccably straight posture, and wearing a slim-fit suit, emanated the aura of a capable career woman. I had a bad feeling about this. Ms. Anderson immediately expressed her intention to understand each employee's role and responsibilities. So, a conference room was booked for us to have a one-on-one meeting. My suspicions were confirmed. I knocked on the door of the conference room and entered when invited. I sat opposite Ms. Anderson.
John, how long have you been with the company?
Well, I'm in my second year.
Oh, you're quite young.
When I explained that I was a mid-career recruit, she seemed to understand.
So, John, what are your main duties in your department?
When she asked me this question, I struggled to respond. She looked at me with a puzzled expression. I don't have any specific role, mainly assisting my seniors with miscellaneous tasks, organizing documents, and making copies. Ms. Anderson frowned at my answer.
We don't have the luxury to hire an employee who only handles odd jobs in these tough economic times. So I have a task for you. Could you follow me?
She led me to the department's storage room.
We have a problem because the headquarters can't access some of the old data from this branch. The files here predate the shared system. Could you input the tax-related information? income tax, corporate tax, local taxes, sales tax, etc., into the system.
I understand.
And it would be helpful if you could also input the balance sheets and profit and loss statements.
After giving me the instructions, she quickly returned to the conference room. Back at the department with the files in hand, I saw a group of colleagues engaged in a conversation.
The new section chief, Ms. Anderson, seems like quite the go-getter, huh?
Yeah, she asked so many sharp questions about the job that my stomach started churning.
I was even told that taking this long for this job is inefficient.
As I walked by them, one of the employees spoke up.
Seems like our buddy, John, got assigned something too. But I'm sure the chief wouldn't take long to find out how incompetent he is.
The surrounding colleagues burst into laughter.
He's just HS grad, right? He'll probably get ratted out to the headquarters and get fired.
Ignoring them as usual, I took my seat and got to work like a ghost. In the afternoon, while I was inputting into the system, Ms. Anderson approached me.
John, any problems with the system input?
Her sheer attractiveness made her presence even more intimidating. Oh, no, it's all good.
All right, send me a progress report via email when you can.
She said that and then moved on to another employee. The only times I've talked to the previous chief were when I first joined and at some office party. While reminiscing about those times and watching her leave, I got back to my work.
We will start our end-of-day meeting from today.
As the end of work approached, Ms. Anderson announced this to all the employees. An end-of-day meeting is where everyone gathers at the end of work to report on their progress and share any information or updates. Everyone reports on their work for the day, and if there's any urgent work that may not meet the deadline, available employees are asked to help out to improve efficiency.
All right, I'll start the report.
Ms. Anderson, who had suggested the idea, was the first one to go. Everyone, while confused by the novelty, reported on their work progress in turn.
Lastly, John, please.
When Ms. Anderson called my name, I shivered. I hated being the center of attention. I've always just existed as thin air up to this point. But she seemed determined to make me do this. Today, I extracted non-digitized data from files and entered it into the system, following a discussion with Section Chief Anderson.
How far did you get after that?
Ms. Anderson's brisk voice echoed through the room. Well, I have entered all the data related to taxes. As for the balance sheets and income statements.
All data? What do you mean by that?
She interrupted me. That I've entered 25 years worth of non-digitized data. I responded with a confused look, and her face paled, covering her mouth.
Why are you hiding your true abilities?
All of a sudden, all the employees looked at Ms. Anderson, stunned. The employee who always mocked me the most burst into laughter.
What are you talking about, Ms. Anderson? This guy is incompetent. He can't even remember the manual, his work is slow and inefficient, he's just a HS grad who's a waste of salary.
Ms. Anderson shot him a stern look.
That's because no one acknowledged his abilities, and he didn't try to use his talents either. I cross-checked the data inputted by the afternoon, and it was accurate without a single mistake. Being able to input data so quickly and accurately is quite remarkable.
Her words made me feel like a veil had been lifted from my eyes. No one had ever evaluated me like this before. Just who are you, really? I was so shocked that I forgot to use polite language with my boss, Ms. Anderson.
John, that's my question. Why are you pretending to be incompetent? Why are you putting up with being looked down on by other employees? Please tell me.
Her earnest gaze hit me right in the chest. Maybe she will understand me. With that hope in my heart, I prepared myself to confess the past I had been hiding. The truth is, I'm not a HS graduate. After graduating from a well-known, highly competitive university, I landed a job at a major corporation. Despite many of my superiors and seniors being graduates of prestigious universities, none were from my institution. I was called the genius newcomer, the elite rookie destined for success, and was given an almost unbelievable amount of work for a newcomer. But I've always been someone who perseveres, works steadily on my own, and gets through anything. I began looking for efficient ways to work and created my own system to quickly get through the tasks.
That's some Ivy League level.
Our level just can't compare to his.
As such, they flattered me, and eventually, even the work that my seniors and bosses were supposed to do were passed on to me. I was handling the workload of around 10 people by myself, but of course, my salary remained the same as the others. No, as a newcomer, I was even made to work for less than the others. One day, I fell ill and called in sick to the office.
What? You're taking a day off? We're screwed. Who's going to do the work if you're not here?
My boss rebuked me. After apologizing many times, I finally got permission to rest, but the company kept calling me without a break. Everyone had been dumping their work on me, so they didn't know how to proceed. Despite sending progress reports by email to avoid such a situation, nobody was reading them. As my fever from the cold rose and my consciousness faded, everything started to seem ridiculous. I wondered who I was working for. Instead of my bosses and seniors, it was me doing the work, and yet they were the ones collecting the salary. I was working multiple times harder than anyone else, not recognized, not rewarded, and my health was deteriorating. The next day, when I showed up at work, my colleagues all rushed over to me.
Thank God, John.
I thought they were concerned about my health, but they immediately asked me to do some work. I was thoroughly disgusted. I submitted my resignation, but
If you quit, John, what's going to happen to this company?
as expected, they rejected my resignation and tried to retain me. But if I stayed there, I would be used up until I was a rag, and not just my body, but my mind would also become sick. The law requires you to give a 2-week notice before resigning. I will prepare a handover document that anyone can read and fully understand, so you can't refuse to let me quit just because there's no one to hand over my tasks. I might have sounded cold, but I didn't have a shred of sympathy for my bosses or seniors. There's some blame on me too for just accepting their work as told, but their sin was far greater. I knew I had to find another job after resigning, but thinking that it might turn out like the last company, I had a hard time getting myself motivated. It would be more advantageous to work just like everyone else if I'm working the same hours and getting the same pay. Upon hearing my murmur, my uncle laughed.
Why don't you come work for me then?
That's the company I'm working for now. I hid my academic background, claiming I only graduated high school, and got approval from my uncle, who is the president, to only do the work assigned in the accounting department. I was allowed to work there as a mid-career recruit. Only the president, the executive director, and the head of the human resources department know about this. I learned a lesson at my previous company. If getting praised and assigned work for being an Ivy League graduate doesn't get me any credit or raise my pay, it's just stupid. So I decided to blend in at this company. Ms. Anderson stared at me intently.
So, how has it been working here for the past year? Are you enjoying it every day? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel a sense of worth in this job?
I had nothing to say. Certainly, it's easy to just do as I'm told. Nobody expects anything from me, and I'm not pressured with more work. But back then, I had more passion for work, a greater sense of fulfillment.
All right, that's enough.
A familiar voice said. When I looked up, there was the CEO standing there.
Anderson here is a highly respected member of our team, serving as the Director of Human Resources at our headquarters.
He continued, I had taken on excessive workload at my previous company due to my competence, which often led to my superiors and seniors dumping their work on me. When my uncle, the CEO, heard about this, he was eager to help me out but was also uncertain if it was the right thing to do. However, he decided to let me work the way I wanted for the first year, choosing not to intervene but instead keep an eye on me. While he observed me during this period, he consulted with Ms. Anderson about the best course of action.
Boss, could I be assigned as a manager in the branch where your nephew works? I want to understand him better and see what kind of person he is.
That's what she proposed.
John, the task I assign to you usually takes at least 3 days to complete. But you did it in a day, and not only that, you even started working on the balance sheet as well as the profit and loss statement. You're an exceptional employee, and this should be recognized.
Ms. Anderson's words caused my heart to swell with pride. That's right. It's not that I didn't want to work or just wanted to do simple chores. I wanted to be recognized for the work I was doing.
This applies not just to you, John, but to all employees. Today, Ms. Anderson evaluated every single staff member. Those who are diligent in their work will be recognized, and those who aren't should be prepared for the appropriate action,
said the CEO, his words causing tension to ripple across the faces of the employees. After that, under Ms. Anderson's supervision, the branch underwent a transformation. Firstly, we improved the employee evaluation system to ensure that each person received a fair appraisal. Next, we promoted lesser-known incentive programs for professional certifications and award systems to increase employee motivation. The most crucial aspect was the interpersonal relationships. We fostered better communication within the office to create a more open work environment. As a result, the employees who were giving me a hard time ended up being transferred to a remote location as they were also found to be harassing other junior staff members. There were also others who received a downgrade for their performance ratings. A new supervisor was assigned to the accounting department. He closely monitored each employee and provided positive feedback and support, making the overall atmosphere brighter, in my opinion. Currently, I'm working as an employee in the accounting department, responsibly handling my assigned duties and receiving fair evaluations for my work. Work isn't just about earning money or sustaining a livelihood. You find the purpose of your work, feel satisfied, and your work life becomes fulfilling when your colleagues and superiors recognize your efforts. I'll never forget my gratitude to my uncle, the CEO, and Ms. Anderson who taught me this valuable lesson, and I'm determined to continue working hard